Before you watch the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put like to keep up to date with the latest news. IAEA Director Rafael Grossi said that the complete and simultaneous loss of external electricity of Ukrainian nuclear power plants is of serious concern. All military actions threatening the security of Ukraine's nuclear facilities must be stopped immediately. The director of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, made this statement on the TV channel T-Emitter and noted that the situation with nuclear safety in the country is becoming increasingly destabilizing. The complete and simultaneous loss of external power supply to Ukrainian nuclear power plants shows that the nuclear safety situation in the country is becoming increasingly unstable, complex, and potentially dangerous, Grossi said. The head of the international agency noted that this is the first time that all plants have lost external energy at the same time. It was unthinkable before the tragic war. And this is very disturbing. All military actions that threaten the security of Ukraine's nuclear facilities must be stopped immediately, he said. Destruction of the Ukrainian energy system. On October 10, 2022, the Russian Federation began attacking Ukraine's critical infrastructure. In one day, 30% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure was damaged. Since October 10, attacks on critical infrastructure have not stopped. Prisoners gathered at substations, hydroelectric and thermal power plants. Emergency power outages have begun across the country. On November 15, Russia fired 100 missiles at Ukraine. It was the largest bombing of the Ukrainian power system since the beginning of the war. Russia is trying to shut down nuclear power plants in Ukraine. On November 17, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky announced that 10 million Ukrainians were left without electricity. On the same day, a record for power outages was set in Kiev. On November 18, 2022, KSKA advised the people of Kiev to provide themselves with food and water. DTEK urged Ukrainians to think about leaving the country for the winter in order to save electricity. On November 19, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said that the invaders destroyed about 50% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. On November 23, Russia struck a new blow to Ukraine's energy system. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has completed its work in blackout mode. The Ministry of Energy of Ukraine reported that a power outage has begun in the entire energy system of the country. On November 24, 70% of residential buildings in Kiev were without electricity. DTEK said that the lights in Kiev will be on for 2 to 3 hours. The head of Energoatom assured that within 2 days the power of the NPP will be fully restored. The difficulty of starting the engines of nuclear power plants, which stopped after the bombing due to emergency protection, lies in the long time required to increase power. This was stated by the president of Energoatom, Piotr Kotin, on the air of one of the TV channels. Most of our generation has recovered, it works. But there is a situation here when the station reaches zero, you can't turn it on so fast. He needs steam, which he does not have, because the units are not working, and it will take a day or two to recover, he said. Therefore, Energoatom restores the power of the block by block gradually. Within 2 days, all our capacities will be fully restored, Kotin said. He noted that after the explosion, the nuclear power plant actually had a sufficient margin of safety to resume work. However, it is important to do everything so that the missiles do not hit the factory. The war in Ukraine, missile strikes on the power system of the Russian Federation. On November 23, Russia launched another major offensive into Ukraine, according to the Union report. The missiles hit critical infrastructure in many regions. In total, about 70 cruise missiles were launched, 51 of which were destroyed. There were power outages in many regions. Power outages were also recorded in neighboring Moldova. According to NNEC Energoatom, since the evening of November 23, an emergency protection system has been activated at 3 Ukrainian nuclear power plants in connection with the bombing, and all power units of these nuclear power plants have been stopped. We are talking about the Rivne, Pivdeno Ukrainian, and Khmelnytskyi nuclear power plants. Thermal and hydroelectric power plants are already operating, and nuclear power plants are gaining power. After a large-scale missile attack on the power grid from 11 o'clock, energy producers covered more than 70% of the country's consumer needs. This was reported by the newspaper Ukrenergo and noted that nuclear power plants are gaining power. The needs of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant were met. As of 11 o'clock, electricity generators covered more than 70% of the country's consumer needs. First of all, critical infrastructure was provided with electricity in all regions: boiler houses, gas distribution stations, water utilities, sewage treatment plants, in some regions, municipal power plants. Repair crews of Ukrenergo, together with their colleagues from Oblenergo, are working around the clock to repair the damage. Ukraine is asking for help from the United States because Ukraine's workforce cannot keep up with all the new damage that Russia is delivering. What do you think about it? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with the most accurate and relevant news.